Okay, let's dive right into this truly fascinating framework that asks a simple yet absolutely profound question about the cast of characters in your own life. Welcome to this explainer on the Astro Magica model. It's a really unique way of looking at human relationships through the lens of pure energy. Think of your life as a grand story. In every story, you've got your drivers of action, your steady anchors, your persuasive talkers, and your quiet observers. Well, Astromagica categorizes these roles by measuring something incredibly basic, our energetic magnetism. Today, we're taking a journey of self-discovery to figure out exactly how you interact with the world around you. Now, the source material for this explainer boldly claims that there are literally only 5 types of people. It's a pretty compelling thought experiment, right? Only 5? As we walk through this lineup of personality profiles, I want you to actively look for yourself, your colleagues, maybe even your partner in these descriptions. We're going to build a narrative of how human energy naturally flows, pushes, and pulls between every single character in your life. So, the absolute crucial point here is understanding this underlying system of human interaction. Basically, you are either pushing energy out as a transmitter, which is denoted by a plus sign, or you're absorbing it as a receiver, marked by a minus sign. Every single one of us operates on a spectrum made of these two opposing polarities. It is quite literally the engine beneath our personalities. The specific balance you have of transmitting versus receiving energy dictates exactly how you show up in the world, and importantly, it reflects your overall determination. Think about the stark contrast for a second, because the precise ratio you possess of these two forces completely dictates your role in every single relationship. On one side, we have our transmitters. They are all output. They drive the narrative forward, initiating the action and just constantly projecting their will. On the flip side, we have the receivers. They're all input. They absorb the energy around them, creating stability and reacting to the push of the transmitters. It's the ultimate push and pull. Section 1. The dynamic transmitters. All output, all the time. Let's meet our first characters on the extreme end of the spectrum. And honestly, I'm going to have to talk fast just to keep up with them. We're starting with the 4 plus 0 minus types. This is the absolute extreme of the transmitters. 4 parts transmitter, 0 parts receiver. Imagine this character walking into a boardroom. They are completely single-minded. Because they have literally 0 receptive energy, they aren't absorbing any feedback from the room at all. They are entirely about output, projecting their intense will to make the big decisions. These individuals are seriously dynamic, very energetic, and deeply enterprising. They are your highly competitive drivers who naturally assume strong leadership roles, not by consensus, but by the sheer dogmatic force of their energetic output. They can only transmit. Okay, let's see how this builds when we drop the transmitting intensity just slightly and introduce a tiny bit of receptivity with the 3 plus 1 minus types. We still have a dominant force of output here, but adding that one part of receiving energy completely changes the flavor of this personality. These are your classic entertainers and performers. In the story of life, they use their massive output not to dominate, but to connect. They've got big personalities, they love being front and center, and they are your spontaneous party people. They are big communicators and inspirationalists with serious swagger and big sales skills. But here's the narrative twist. Because they're constantly performing and outputting energy, but they only have a tiny capacity to absorb and recharge, they can actually crash. They're the life of the party who can become surprisingly easily depressed. Section 2. The balanced middle, walking the line. Let's study our pace now as we meet the 2 plus 2 minus types. These folks are perfectly balanced, right smack down the middle between transmitting and receiving. 2 parts push, 2 parts pull. Now, there is a wild duality to this character. They are highly diplomatic and considerate, but simultaneously suspicious and, well, Machiavellian. Because they exist perfectly in the middle, they can see everything. This gives them an incredibly objective, fair, and just outlook. But that same perfectly balanced perspective means they are constantly analyzing the motives of everyone else around them, making them cautious and calculating. This careful, intuitive blend makes them incredibly flexible individualists, or soloists. Get this, the source literally categorizes them as actual spy material. It makes sense, right? They are affable, balanced, and thoughtful, yet deeply independent. They don't need to constantly drive the action like a pure transmitter, nor are they entirely anchored like a receiver. They just slip through the narrative of life, adapting to whatever the situation requires, reading the room with sharp intuition. Section 3.
The patient receivers, grounded and absorbing.
Leaving the world of high output behind us, we cross firmly over into receiver territory to meet the 1 plus 3 minus types, 1 part transmitter, 3 parts receiver. Where the extreme transmitters were totally restless, these types are the unyielding bedrock of our story. They sit back, they process deeply, and when they finally use that one single part of transmitting energy, boom, it hits with deliberate, forceful impact. These serious, reserved, and introspective individuals are incredibly persistent and reliable. You cannot easily move them, which makes them serve as the solid foundation in any relationship, although they can get occasionally feisty when pushed too hard.
And finally, we reach the ultimate extreme of receptivity with the 0 plus 4 minus types, 0 parts transmitter, 4 parts receiver.
They do not force their will onto the plot. Instead, they influence the story quietly, through pure stability. These patient altruistic influencers act as serious receivers and total energy absorbers, wholly dedicated to the service of others. They are the quintessential peaceful harbor, non-aggressive, prudent, and entirely objective-driven. They serve as conscientious guides in our narrative, absorbing the chaotic energy of the transmitters and naturally transforming it into something grounded, calm, and deeply placid.
Section 4. Which one are you? The complete spectrum. So, we've met the entire cast, but how does it all flow together when we line them up side by side? It brilliantly illustrates the full astromatical landscape. On one extreme, the 4 plus 0 minus is shouting into the void, driving the world forward. Next to them, the 3 plus 1 minus is putting on a spectacular show. Right in the middle, the 2 plus 2 minus is watching both sides, acting as the diplomatic spy. Moving toward the other end, the 1 plus 3 minus stands like a reliable, unyielding wall. And finally, the 0 plus 4 minus quietly and patiently absorbs it all.
Remember, this isn't just a list of random adjectives, it's a sliding scale where your precise mix of transmitting and receiving actually governs your level of determination in life. The extreme ends, the 4 plus 0 minus and the 0 plus 4 minus, possess an immense, unwavering determination, just in completely opposite directions. One is determined to push, the other is determined to anchor. As you move toward the middle, that determination becomes more flexible, more adaptable, and way more fluid. So look closely at the magnetic pull of your own closest relationships. In the grand ongoing narrative of your life, whose energy are you endlessly absorbing, and who is quietly absorbing yours?